I've been getting asked, Lynn, are you moving like permanently back to Kenya? Am I moving to Kenya permanently? This week's guest is only me. I absolutely was so excited, but at the same time, I was petrified. I was genuinely so scared. I had some experience in the fashion world with modeling before, but to be honest, it wasn't an positive one always. Be loving what you're doing, who you're doing it for, why you're doing it. I'm so grateful. I'm really grateful. If your why is only money, your why is very important. Hello, my name is Lynn Omondi, and you're listening to the ALL LYNN Podcast. Join me every week as I have insightful conversations with special guests covering topics such as personal growth, success, balancing duality, and the power of consistency. So without further ado, this week's guest is only me. There's no guest. It'll just be a conversation with me. I just want to first get started on talking a little bit behind the podcast. For anyone that knows me or has known me for a few years, I've wanted to have this podcast for quite some time. And I have started a few podcasts, but there was always a reason or an excuse that I gave myself of why I couldn't continue with it. So this is, I think, the first time where I'm just fully putting in my all and just starting all in. So I'm so grateful for the positive responses that I've been receiving from family, from friends, from people I'm not even as close to. I really do appreciate it. And I think it keeps me going because this is something that's been in my heart for a long time. So to finally execute and get it done, it feels really good. And a little bit housekeeping. I've been getting asked, Lynn, are you moving permanently back to Kenya? Am I moving to Kenya permanently? No, I'm not. At least not as of now. When you guys see me back in the US, you'll see me. But yeah, I guess you'll just have to wait and find out. But for now, you can enjoy all the Kenyan content. And also, please let me know, what do you guys want to see? There's still some things from the last time that I asked what you guys are, wanting to see more in Kenya that I am still working on so that I'm able to produce that content for you guys. But I love Kenya, and from what you guys have seen, I'm sure that you can recognize how beautiful it is. So if there's anything specific that you guys would want to see or any types of topics with certain guests that you guys would want to talk about, then let me know. Reach out, DM, text me, whatever it is. Another thing with being in Kenya, I've realized there's pros and cons everywhere. But what I love is, of course, the costs are just insanely different. Like grocery shopping, much cheaper. Just certain things are much cheaper. Ubers, I take Ubers everywhere. I obviously can't drive here. And way, way cheaper. Everything is just much cheaper. And who doesn't love that? And then, of course, other things like food. Food is great. People are so welcoming. Obviously, being closer to a lot of family members that I hadn't seen in years is really nice as well. I had a hospital visit a few weeks ago, and the hospital experience was 10 out of 10. I have positive experiences in the US as well, of course, but I just noticed, of course, one, much cheaper, much faster. It just was so efficient, and I can't speak for all Kenyan hospitals, but just in general, there are a lot of benefits of being here. Of course, a lot of benefits of being in the US as well. But for now, I'm young, I'm 23 years old, and I'm just taking the time to enjoy life as long as I possibly can here. So just join me for the journey, I guess. And yeah, today I want to talk more about being multifaceted and just balancing that in my life. I think a lot of people always comment on how I do a lot of things at the same time. I'll have one thing and then another thing, and they're completely like non-related. And I'm always busy. I'm always doing something. And I've been like this for so long, for so many years. So I want to talk about that because I always get questions on if I have any advice when it comes to that, and how to better manage your time to be able to do more, or how to even land these opportunities. So I'm just going to dive a little bit more into my journey personally, so that you guys can get to know me a little bit more as well. So I'll say a huge influence on my life has been church. Hope Church, Hope Community Church, once we moved to the US, is kind of like had been our go-to for years. And through the church, I had a lot of opportunities to travel, to volunteer in different places, and locally as well, mission trips and all the things. And it was always really pleasing to my heart. It was always something that I loved to do. And I met a lot of incredible people through it, like so many incredible people through church. So I've really been grateful for that experience. And because of that, I think my opportunities increased in the things that I saw that I could do, or the things that I had the opportunity to do that other people didn't. Because of course, like when you're in high school, most people are just focused on school, sports, friends, whatever it is. But I was like planning a trip to Haiti or to New York to volunteer, and like mission trips and stuff. So it was completely different. And I think having that start at like a younger age was really helpful for me to feel like I really can do anything. Like it didn't seem like something that was so crazy. And I remember even in that time, I would always get comments on like, wow, like I can't believe that you did this and that. And it didn't feel like that to me. It just felt like, I mean, I was proud of what I was doing, but it didn't feel like something that was so unattainable. So I am grateful that one, I had like a lot of family support, and I have the type of family that does support me in making those types of like decisions for myself in my life. But that I also was introduced to things like that and was introduced to those opportunities. And moving on from that, like even in high school, I was always really, really engaged, whether it was like, of course, school, but then dance after, or volleyball, or cheer, whatever it was. But of course, as well, like hang out with friends, like poetry. Poetry was huge for me. And the relationships that I cultivated in high school carried me through, and are still carrying me through now. When people say like your network is your net worth, like it's so true. It's the truest thing ever. And I hear it all the time. Everyone hears it all the time. But it's true. I think that when you put yourself out there, and you don't have to be extremely bold. You don't have to do something that you're not necessarily comfortable with, but just putting yourself out there to be able to do something new at the least. Do something new, put yourself out there, have a conversation with someone that you usually wouldn't talk to. A lot of the opportunities that I've received have been through conversations. So I kind of want to go down the line of certain things that I've done and how I got introduced to them, because I've gotten questions from like my experiences in fashion versus in nonprofit versus in fitness. Like, so I just want to get into all of it. So with, as many people know, I work with Family Movement. It's a Boston nonprofit, and we help families from shelter into transitional living into stable housing, and ultimately home ownership. And it's so, so great. I love the team that I work with. I love the mission. I love everything about it. I'm going on 4 years now with Family Movement. And I was introduced to it because I was really interested. I mean, of course, I've always been interested in giving back and helping other people in any way that I can. So in looking for that type of opportunity, I came across Family Movement. They were hiring, and I honestly was not fit for the role. I was not fit for the role at all. I was going into college, or I was in my first year of college, and I had so much imposter syndrome for sure. I was like, I don't know, I don't think I can do this. But a great friend advised me, like, Lynn, just go for it, just apply. And I did. And to be honest, my first interview, of course, it was great. And I loved the team immediately and everything. But I didn't go through. There was someone else that was more fit for the role. And so I just thought, okay, it is what it is. I put myself out there. It is what it is. And then a year later, I ended up working with Family Movement. Ended up reaching back out for me to take on that position. And I absolutely, absolutely was so excited. But at the same time, I was petrified. I was genuinely so scared because I just thought, I'm still not qualified. The things that they listed that they wanted someone to be able to do, I don't know if I could do those things. And of course, I know that I am adaptable, and I know that I'm very trainable, and I'm open-minded, and I listen well, and I learn quickly, and all those things. But at the same time, I'm still like, but I just don't know. And, I'm going to be joining a team of people that are older than me. I'm going to be the youngest on the team. And there was a lot of fear, to be honest, that I had. And I'm so grateful for LaKenya. LaKenya Rivers, the founder and executive director of Family Movement, because she really instilled like so much confidence and supported me of just celebrating my little wins. Like, she was just there for me. She honestly nurtured me through the role and was just such a great role model and leader for me. For that to be, it wasn't my first job, but it was it felt like my first, I can't say my first real job, but it felt different than any other opportunity that I had at that point. So to receive the support that I did from her, I don't know how I would have done it without her. She was amazing. So in joining Family Movement and just my years in Family Movement, like looking back, I'm like, I can't imagine that I'm the same Lynn that was so afraid to do this job. And obviously now, after, working with them for now near like going close to 4 years, I feel very confident in my role. I feel very capable. I feel still very supported by LaKenya, by the team. And if I let the fear that I had before stop me, I wouldn't have had the growth that I've had in this role. I wouldn't have made the impact that I've made in this role. I wouldn't have met the people that I've met in this role. I wouldn't have had other opportunities that I've received from this role. Like, there's so much that I would have been holding back in my own life if I hadn't just taken that leap and been like, okay, Lynn, you don't feel comfortable in this. You don't feel confident, comfortable in this at this time, but you are capable of this. So I'm really grateful that I just was able to just kind of get it done. And I remember literally like I think it was the second interview that I was having with Family Movement, or one of the last interviews, when they had reached back out and had asked me to be part of the team. And I thought, wow, I really might get this. And that was fearful in itself. When, like, have you guys seen memes of like, when you apply for a job and then you actually get it and you're like, dang, like, I actually have to work now? Like, that's crazy. It was like that, but it was more of not being afraid of working or anything like that, because I really was excited about the mission and what Family Movement does. It was more of like, wow, I really have to, like, this is a commitment now. This is something that I have to continue doing. And even when I don't feel comfortable, I have to still do it. That was so scary to me, because it's easier to be comfortable. It's easier to just remain in your comfort zone. But then again, like I said, I'm very, very grateful that I just pushed through, got it done. And of course, with the support of LaKenya and the team, and my friends as well, for just always being there for me, my family as well. So that was Family Movement. Still with Family Movement, love Family Movement, shout out Family Movement. Second thing that I do want to mention is Fierce Styles fashion show, led by the one and only Cheryl Jean. Fierce, so Cheryl is part of Family Movement as well. And so that's how I was introduced to Fierce. When I was in college, I was the vice president of American Marketing Association. And Cheryl was talking to me about her brand, Fierce Styles Fashion Show. And I was like, this is something that, my team can like market for you, like we can work on this. And that was me just honestly taking a big leap, because I wasn't sure I was nervous. I wasn't sure if I would be able to execute what her vision was. I've done some modeling here and there. I've been a little bit like in the fashion world before this, but I just felt like not in this way, like not marketing for one. Like, what do I know about that? But I just took the leap and we had one conversation and the rest is history. After the conversation that I had with Cheryl, and she was so just welcoming and open minded to the idea of me and the American Marketing Association chapter at BSU, Bridgewater State University, that she was so open to us helping her out and assisting in any way that we could when it came to marketing for it. And like I said, it was my first time. I was so scared. Again, the imposter syndrome. But it was like, okay, I made the commitment, so now I have to just push through. And I learned so much. I'll say, like, looking back, I'm definitely like, yeah, I've grown. I've definitely grown. I've grown in my abilities and my skills, marketing and everything else included. But I loved the experience. I love the experience of being part of Fierce. I loved, like I said, I had some experience in the fashion world with modeling before, but to be honest, it wasn't a positive one always. Especially, I had like one show where I was so excited for it, and it was another thing where I just kind of like met someone, had a conversation, put myself out there, and was invited to cast to model for the show. And when I went, I didn't like the culture of it. I didn't like how the models were treated. Not that it was anything like very like extremely bad or anything like that. It wasn't a positive environment. I'll just say that. And I wanted to be behind the scenes. I wanted to be a part of making the difference instead of just kind of like joining in whatever else someone else is doing. I wanted to be behind the scenes. And I love planning. I love organizing. I love things like that. So in joining the planning committee for Fierce and also like helping out with marketing and everything, I learned so much. And one thing I will always speak on for Fierce and give Cheryl her flowers for is her love for fashion. Truly, it emulates in everything that she does, and everything that she does for Fierce. It's not just about making money. It's not just about getting a crowd. It's about the art. It's about the production. It's about the fashion. It's so much deeper than just I'm just producing a show. I just want something where I'm going to make money from it. She truly has this deep passion for it that when you're working with her, you can't help but just feel it too. So it makes working so much easier because it doesn't feel like work. It feels like fun. And yeah, I love that. And I'm so grateful to have had leaders such as like the Kenya for Family Movement, Cheryl for Your Styles Fashion Show, because it's not all the time that you're working somewhere where you truly love your boss. It's one thing to like respect them for the sake of the role and things like that, but just truly loving what you're doing, who you're doing it for, why you're doing it. I'm so grateful. I'm really grateful. But the main point is that I wouldn't have had that experience if I didn't speak out for myself as well, if I didn't decide like, you know what, this is something that I'm not comfortable in doing, but I'm going to put myself out there and do it anyway. And I think with a lot of other roles that I've held or just other like positions, other things that I've done, like being part of the community service committee for Diaspora Mass, I honestly don't even remember how that came about. Probably just a conversation or me putting myself out there as well as what else? Becoming a member of the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Alliance for Newburyport. That was also a matter of just putting myself out there and reaching out and saying that, this is something that I'm interested in and I want to be a part of and I want to make an impact in this as well. I will say an important thing is that when you're going into an opportunity, what is your why? I think that's more important than what the opportunity even is. Because if your why is only money, I mean, I don't know everything. So I'm not gonna, sit here and say like, don't go into it or something like that. But what I will say is my why has always been mission driven. From my experiences with opportunities that I've had at church, from my experiences with family movement, from my experiences with Fierce Styles, with the DEI Alliance, Newburyport, with Diaspora Mass, Community Service, Last Lap, Boston, Run Club. Everything that I've done has been mission driven. It's never just been about the money or the status or the position, or it's never been something shallow. And I think if it ever was, I wouldn't enjoy it. I think if I ever did something and my sole reason was this makes me look good or this makes me just more money just for the sake of just having more money, I just don't think I would have as much enjoyment with it. I don't think that I don't think that it would ever pan out to be the way that the things that I've done so far have panned out to be. Um, so that's one thing. I think looking into your why and truly reflecting on why are you doing the things why are you going into these new opportunities before you even put yourself out there? I think that's really important. And I don't know if you have a therapist, talk to them. But another thing was Last Lap Boston. For years, I still don't really consider myself like the fitness influencer or anything like that, but my fitness journey has definitely improved, drastically improved in the past years. I've always been, from my last episode with Basi, I'm sure you guys heard, I was always really interested in fitness and very active, always been very active, but never consistent, never consistent in one thing. And I think in joining Last Lap, I'll give a little bit of a debrief for anyone that doesn't know. So Last Lap Boston Run Club, founded by Darius Hines, but we are 6 organizers in total. Myself, Darius, Ansley, and Key, and Yemi. And it started by Darius having a TikTok about he had just moved to Boston and he was looking for Black Boston run clubs. They do exist. He just hadn't seen them. So he made the TikTok, or he didn't know about them. He made the TikTok. It got a lot of engagement. A lot of people are reaching out saying, I want to be a part of that, start it up. I would definitely want to be a part of that. And it was people, around our age and things like that. So my Yemi had sent it to me, and we decided, let's reach out to him. Let's tell him that we're interested in being a part of starting that. Mind you, I was no runner. I was not consistent in fitness, and I'm here being a part of a run club. It didn't make sense, but I was like, this will be fun. This will be new. And I was not that I wasn't even sure if I had the time, to be honest, because again, I still was doing all these other things, but I was just like, why not? I'm just very much like, life is short. Let's just do it. Let's just get that new opportunity and check it off and just, commit to it. So we reached out. And I don't even think I've told Darius this, but I thought I would only be doing that run club like maybe once a month, like max twice a month. Because I just thought like running every single week, driving to Boston Saturday, early morning to run like every Saturday. I was like, no, I don't have the time for that. I'm not doing that. Because that also, it changes what you can do Friday night as well, right? You have to sleep early, you have to get enough rest, things like that. So I really thought, I'll join this, but I'll only be in it for like once, twice a month. And that clearly is not what happened. I've been very consistent with Last Lap. But even that was just something where I didn't feel imposter syndrome when it came to that. I did feel nervous because I was like, I'm not a runner, but I also was like, I'm doing this with my friend, Yemi, and I have support. So I don't feel like I'm doing this by myself. I don't feel like it's something that I have to kind of carry the load by myself. And that gave me a lot more confidence and comfort in joining. And then as well as like a lot of people on the team, everyone on the team was just very inviting, welcoming. We all just had like the one mission of just getting it done, providing this type of group for the community, like starting up this community in Boston in a way that it hadn't been seen before, and really grateful for that as well. So one thing that I do really want to stress on, and it matches to what I was saying earlier on your why is very important, is the impact that you make from the things that you're afraid to do will make you look back and just think, why didn't I do this sooner? Or why didn't I do this? Whatever it is, like whatever it is that you have always wanted to do, and there's just something holding you back, whether it's excuses, procrastination, feeling like you're not good enough, feeling like you don't know anything, whatever it is that you want to do, think about the impact that you're missing out on making, right? If your why is strong enough, if your why is big enough, why don't you want to just set out and do the dang thing? Just do the dang thing. And this is advice to myself as well. Like, I am no perfect person. I don't feel like I have everything figured out or anything like that. But from my experiences and from the roles that I've served in and am serving in, I wouldn't have it any other way. The impact that I've made, it makes you feel the outcome of finally saying yes to yourself is so much greater and just more powerful than holding yourself back and saying no for the sake of fear, or saying no for the sake of excuses, imposter syndrome, whatever it is. So yeah, just let that be like a little tidbit to think of the impact that you're going to make is very important. People need to see what you want to do in this world. People need to see the designs you're going to make, or the businesses you're going to start, or the organizations you're going to begin, the people you're going to help and serve. People need to see that. And yeah, just do it. I also do want to talk about, I was listening to this podcast, We Need to Talk, and he had, what's the guest names? Gabor Mate, I believe. I hope I pronounced that right. Gabor Mate. And he was talking about how it's very common for people to have discomfort saying no, and the importance of being able to say no. And as I was listening to that, I was just reflecting on my own life and just thinking, because again, I'm not perfect. There's definitely things that I, till this day, still have problems saying no to. But in thinking about the importance of it, he was explaining that when you're uncomfortable saying no to something, you're going to be mad at yourself. You're going to feel some type of way about losing out on yourself. Okay, let me rephrase that, because that's not exactly how he said it. So basically, let's say, for example, I'll use an example, it's easier. Let's say, for example, someone is asking you to join a new project, and you know that you're supposed to say no. You know that you should say no because maybe you just don't have the time for it. It's not in your personal goals currently, but you say yes anyway. Saying yes to the thing you're supposed to say no to means that you're saying no to something that you're supposed to be saying yes to, right? So the same way that you would end up doing that project is the same way that you would end up not being able to meal prep, not being able to go to the gym as often as you want to for that week or whatever, not being able to start on another project that you had for yourself. Being able to say no really saves you on feeling like you're depleting yourself and like you're draining yourself doing things for other people. And that's something that I've honestly generally like struggled with. It is nice to have people around you that, are looking out for you and are making sure that, you feel like you're balanced, you feel like you're not depleting yourself and doing too much. But that's not always the case. People have their own wants and needs, and they're thinking about what it is that they want. So you really have to be able to have authority over your life to say, you know what, when it comes to this specific thing, I'm saying no. And that's really important when I think about, of course, I'm so grateful for all the opportunities that I've had. I wouldn't change it for anything. Very, very grateful. At the same time, for me to start this podcast, for example, I wouldn't be able to be doing other things that I was asked of, like other things that other people want me to do. I just would not, it wouldn't come out the way that I wanted to. It wouldn't, it would feel like a job, because it would feel like, oh my gosh, I have this and this and this and this, and then I have to shoot. Like, this is too much. And so being able to say no to other opportunities for this time is allowing me to pour into this. And it truly is about your why again, because if I just cared about the money, if I just cared about the status or whatever, I could say yes to those other opportunities, but then I wouldn't be able to feel internally just proud of myself and happy to finally begin this thing that I've wanted to be doing for so long. So that's just one example, but in many ways, I think it's really important to think about, what are you not saying no to that you need to say no to? What do you know you need to say no to that you haven't voiced yet? That's how I believe they had put in the podcast. So that's something that I'll even be reflecting on for myself. And I think I'll make it a weekly thing, honestly, of starting the week by reflecting on what are the things that I want to say no to, um, and just starting every week feeling like I'm being my authentic self, and I'm doing the things that I truly love to do, the things that I'm choosing to do for my personal goals, not for just someone else, just for the sake of doing it. So that's another tidbit. Okay, overall, I would say the takeaways to having some sort of balance in being multifaceted, or at least just finding joy in doing multiple different things, is really understanding your why and making sure that it's big enough. Is really understanding your why and making sure that it's important enough to you, it's big enough for you, that it will allow you to really enjoy what you're doing. 2, understanding your no. 3, putting yourself out there, aka your network is your net worth. And 4, being yourself. I didn't even say that. I'll say, like, I've done a lot of like trainings and workshops, courses, things like that um, on career training, on interview tips and things like that. And to be honest, just be yourself. Be yourself. I've worked in teams where you can tell the person's just not being themselves. And I think especially if you suffer with like imposter syndrome and things like that, or if you just don't believe in yourself, if you don't have that initial confidence, which is completely okay. I think a lot of times people try to kind of big up themselves or kind of like sound different or turn into a different persona. And it's the complete opposite of what you should do. I think authenticity is what is another big thing that has gotten me the opportunities that I've had. I don't think that if I just was like clean cut, like paper perfect, that I'm just sound perfect all the time, that someone would have the trust in me that people do. Like, just be yourself. 100% be yourself. I would say that's one of the biggest piece of advice that I could give in landing opportunities. Be yourself. Don't try and pretend that you're someone else. Don't try and act like someone else. People want to see who you are and what you specifically can bring to the table. Whatever someone else can do, you can give them their flowers. You can, obviously just acknowledge, but that doesn't mean that that has to be your value as well. That has to be the impact as well. I think that's the beauty of working in a team, is that people have their strong suits, and none is necessarily bigger or greater or more important than the other. It comes together to make this perfect thing. and the impact that you're going to make, whether you're working in a nonprofit organization or in the fashion industry or volunteering or whatever it is that you're doing, your own business, your own projects. If you aren't able to focus on the impacts that you're going to make, if you're focusing on what it is that you can do and only thinking about yourself, it doesn't come off well. I think being authentic and being able to be yourself for the betterment of the team, for the betterment of the mission is so important. And I think that goes for any industry, anything that you do. But yeah, I hope that that answers some questions that I've gotten for some years now and stuff from different people. This is just, a way that I can just kind of aggregate them into one. But thank you for listening to this week's podcast. I'm really excited for the next guest that I'll be having, so stay tuned. But as always, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, all the things. But thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye.